What's Ripe in YouTube. So I just wanted to follow up the previous video about the tall versus short bananas and give you a couple of considerations to kind of follow up with that. If you didn't see the video, go back and watch it and then come back and watch this one. So what I've done here, which I think was actually it wasn't planned, but I think it was kind of like a happy mistake. So I planted dwarf bananas, and you can see they're still here for part of this row. I planted the dwarf bananas with my system initially, and then as my mango trees grew up, like these are some of the older ones, now I've removed the bananas, or I'm in the process of removing them. They still grow back after you cut them down, but that actually turned out to be a pretty good move, because when the trees were small, I had easy to harvest bananas, and as the trees grew up, I take them out, and now, like I said before, I've got my tall bananas in the midlines. So that could be a consideration for you, is just using the tall bananas early and then transitioning, or I'm sorry, the short bananas early and then transitioning into the tall bananas later. But what I'm actually going to do on my new system over here is a little bit different. And the reason I'm doing it, I'm actually setting myself up with my maintenance in mind. And I really encourage you guys to do that. Consider how you're going to take care of your system. It's kind of hard to know if you haven't done this before, but just bear with me. That's why I'm sharing the information, so you guys can kind of get some insight. So I'm going to have my tree lines. I don't know if you can see the pole way over there. The tree lines are 20 feet apart. I'm going to have a midline service line, and then in between the midline and the tree line, there's going to be another row of service plants that I can cut down and use for mulch for my main tree lines. So with my design in mind that I have, I actually want tall bananas first, because I want them up and out of the way so that I can still drive through there with the tractor and cut down my service plants and rake them to the side. I've actually been experimenting with new tractor implements and equipment and trying to develop easier maintenance strategies. And so that's what I'm trying to do with this area over here. And with that in mind, I know that my tractor is a certain size. It's 5 feet wide. I've got a rollover protection bar that I can fold it down, but I can't fold it down too far. And then obviously the driver's sitting on top. I don't want to be smacking my face against branches and this and that, at least for the first couple of years. At some point, the system's going to outgrow my equipment, and I'm going to have to do something different. But that's what I'm designing for. So I'm choosing to use tall bananas because I know they're going to be up and out of my way rather than the short bananas. So that's something to consider, how you're going to be maintaining your property. Another area that I'm going to actually choose to use dwarf bananas is over here on my property line. So over here, there's a kind of a buffer zone between my property and the neighbors, and the tree line is pretty well established. It's a nice windbreak. It shades this area in the mornings and gets full sun in the afternoon. So that's the east, north is that way. So the sun comes up over here, it's shady all morning. So what I'm actually going to do over here is come out to roughly the drip line of these trees and set up a big row or series of banana circles. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do it, but I'm actually going to use dwarf bananas over here because I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but I can still see gaps through here. I can see my neighbor's property. The dwarf bananas are actually going to fill that visual area, and I'm going to have easy to harvest bananas here. So that's why I'm choosing to use the dwarf ones on this side. Hopefully that gives you guys some insight. For some of you, it's not going to matter. You're not going to care what size the bananas are. You just want to have a big collection. But if you do get into systemizing your agroforestry or your food forest, it is something to consider. And it applies to more than just bananas too. There's all kinds of different trees that have dwarf and vigorous and different types of growth habits. If you have that information and you can design around it, it really helps to be able to organize your system, and it will pay off in the long term. So something to think about. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and I'll see you next time.